About 10 months ago, I started going on this crazy journey that I didn't know was going to be crazy. I thought it was just going to be finding out some new things about myself, and it turned out to be a lot of new things about myself, but it also is a very good journey. So I found out in January that my hair was potentially curly. And so I decided to cut my hair to see if I could get it more curly. My hair was down to my waist. And I thought, well, if I get less weight on it, then it'll curl up. Plus, I wanted to cut it anyway because my hair was really heavy and I'd had the exact same hairstyle for many years. So I thought it was time for a change. I cut it myself. I looked it up online while I was on Christmas break on how to do a butterfly cut yourself. Do it yourself. And so I did, and it came out pretty good actually, but it still wasn't what I wanted. I wanted my hair to really curl up more. I wanted to find out exactly how much I could get it to do this. And I waited all the way until June 5th till we got out of school for the summer, because I have a lot of students who get very upset if I change my look. Students who are in extensive support needs or younger students like kindergartners. So I didn't want to, traumatize them, even if it was minorly. So I waited till the day after school got out. And then I went and got my hair professionally cut. And they still didn't do the job I wanted. They kind of rounded it, even though I specifically said, do not round it. But I went home and fixed it because now I was more comfortable cutting my own hair, even if I shouldn't have been more comfortable, but I still was. And so I trimmed it more and got it cut the way I wanted. I would really love to go get a curly cut, but they're really expensive. And you have to know for sure that the person isn't just cutting curly hair and charging a lot, that they're actually doing a curly cut. And I don't personally know anyone right now who does that. So I'm going to wait until I find someone and until I can, afford that. So I started using different products, but they kind of left my hair sticky, even though my hair did curl up quite a bit once it was cut. It's grown a few inches now, which is nice because I'm trying to get it back to about here. Not down to my waist though. I don't want that kind of weight anymore. It's just too much. And plus, different new hairstyles. So what I do, I already put the product in my hair, but I'm going to show you what I used, and then I'm going to go diffuse it and show you the end result. I don't diffuse my hair only on wash day because it is heat and you need to have heat protectant and things like that. So I do it in the morning before work. I just spray it to be wet and then put in a little bit of product to refresh it and let it air dry. And I only wash my hair once a week because if you wash your hair more often, it dries it out. It dries out your scalp. It's not very good for your scalp or your hair. I clarify it, which I talked about before, once a month to get all the product out. And I use a repair mask that has protein that bonds your hair. So I use a little tiny bit of Sweet Spirit and I'm rub that through my hair because this is a leave-in conditioner. You always want a specific leave-in and not one that you would normally use in the shower that you rinse out, because the rinse out ones have different ingredients, and if you leave them in your hair, it will dry out your hair rather than nourishing it. Whereas the leave-ins are meant to nourish. And I find this Sweet Spirit one to be really great, but again, less is more. You want to put in just a tiny, tiny amount. And then I used a cream texturizer, and that gives it some slip. And then I use a curl brush. They have another one that has little notches on the top, and it is a volumizing one. I haven't gotten that one yet, but I use this one, and I just run it through my hair. And they say to divide your hair into sections and then do each section, but I don't have as good of experience with that. When I divide it like that, it tends to pull out my curls and not give my curls more bounce. And I have more of a wavy hair anyway, so I want it to curl up as much as possible and still have volume, because volume is super important to me. Then after that, because this is more of a curl cream, I create curl memory, and I mix that with, it's all kind of coming off the top. I use that with just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of Sweet Spirit. And again, you rub it together in your hands before you run it through your hair. And you want to get it in the roots because you want it to start curling up there instead of just curling down here. You see some girls with kind of flat hair and then it's curling. It's because they're not running it through their roots. And when I do that, I then run it through with this wide tooth comb coming from the roots out and always going this way. So I'm pulling out from my head instead of going down. And that's part of what creates volume and also gets it into the roots underneath because you want that. And then after that, I use this volumizing foam. Now, some videos of other curly girls comb that through as well, but I haven't had good results with that. I feel like when it does that, again, it pulls out my curls and weighs down my hair. So I just use a couple of pumps of that, rub it together, and scrunch it through my hair. So I'm going to do a little bit more right now because I want just a little bit more volume at the roots, like that, and scrunch it. And then you want to scrunch it in the back. And you can go upside down and do this too, which is helpful in getting it more volume. And you see how it's curling up there. And then you do it over here. And make sure getting it all the way in. That. And then I'm going to go diffuse my hair in a minute and then show you the end results of that. But you know, one of the things that was a huge learning curve for me was that I always wanted to be super low maintenance. And that meant that I don't do things like I don't do my nails. Well, I didn't want to do my nails anyway because of vitiligo. I'm not really going to call attention to my hands. But even still, even for fancy things, like I want to be low maintenance. And I do makeup because I love doing makeup. Plus, I need the sun protection when I go outside that comes in my my makeup base. And if I use a regular sunscreen, it makes me break out and it's really not good for your skin anyway. So I use a makeup base that has an SPF. And that way, whenever I go out, I'm always covered on my face. But even my makeup only took like 10 minutes. So in my hair, I took even less time. So I would wash my hair and then I would, while it was still damp, put it in a heatless roller. And then in the morning, I would just pull it out and then it would have some long curls. And that's how I wore my hair. But it was really damaging my hair. And I didn't even realize how much until I started really taking care of my hair in a more intentional way. And so I was just so proud of being low maintenance and thinking, oh, it's great that I spend no time on myself and that I just spend all my time taking care of other people. And in that, I didn't really teach my own kids that they should take time for themselves. So they did, and I took time on them. But now that they're getting older and they're into adulthood, I notice that they don't take the time that I would like them to take for themselves because I love them and I want them to treat themselves really well. But I wasn't treating myself really well. Instead, I was just very proud of taking no time for me. And granted, getting up earlier to take more time for myself would cut into my sleep, and I really like sleep. So that was another issue. But I found that now that I do take care of myself a little bit better and I take the time with my hair, that I care more about me and how people treat me, which is better for them too. People should not be treating other people badly. And the more I take care of myself, the less inclined I am to let other people say or do mean things to me without me calling them out. Because I talked before about being a type B personality, so I was more likely to not say much. Well, those of you that knew me in college, I would call you out very much if you were mean to me. But then in high school and then later on in life. I went kind of back to my type B personality, and I just let people be mean or ghost me or things like that. And I just said nothing. And now I'm more standing up for myself, which is the example I want for my children. So I'll come back after my hair is, after I've diffused it, because I'll spare you the diffusing, because it takes a long time and it's not that interesting and it's very loud. But maybe you want to try some of these products and see how they work for your hair. I will be trying other brands later, but right now I'm really liking Inner Sense. So I'll see you later.